Hello and welcome to this video. This is my shared survivor wisdom. Take what you like, leave the rest. This is how to stop a narcissist with non-resistance. If you saw my previous video, I introduced the principle of non-resistance. I'm the author of 6 books for moms. My newest one is Wisdom for Ending the Co-Parenting War with a Narcissist, or Wisdom for Ending a Custody Battle with a Narcissist, so that you can heal and be able to help your child. That's important. Those are 2 important things, like maintaining your sanity. So, welcome to my survivor wisdom. Just a quick disclaimer, this isn't direct advice. I want to make sure that you know it's not direct advice. That's super important because every case is different and you might be in different phases. So you can pause and read this full disclaimer. I survived a 12-year custody battle with my ex, and I went through co-parenting abuse, post-separation abuse, into legal abuse. I lost some, won some, lost a whole bunch, and then worked using skillful means, non-resistance, and all these principles that I teach to get everything back and more. So I'm not saying this will happen for you in your case. I had to use a team of 10 and many strategy partners, but just know that winning isn't everything. I do host some private moms groups, and moms who share, oh my God, I won in family court, often find later that now they're being investigated by the IRS. They're getting false CPS claims filed on them. So they think they won custody and they won all the co-parenting rights and control to be able to help their kids. And then it backfires. So winning isn't everything. I talk about changing what the word win means. And if we're going to use the word win, it's got to say win-win. That's one of the best ways, because I talk about neutralizing, navigating around, de-escalating, disarming, the narcissist. I don't promote defeating, beating, destroying, because the thing I know about narcissists is they retaliate. They're pathologically jealous, their personality disordered, they're angry, they can hold a grudge forever, they don't forgive, they're very fearful and often very paranoid. So when it comes to co-parenting, and you are required to, and he's not in jail, so if you have to work with a narcissist, I believe there is a third way, and that's what I teach. If you don't want to run away leaving your kids behind, and you don't want to fight till you're financially devastated using lawyers, I believe there is a third way where we coexist. And it's not, I get moms out of black and white thinking. So if that's your situation, and every situation is different, some of what I say might be helpful. So if you want to change your co-parenting struggles and stop custody battles, I suggest the use of skillful means and non-resistance. You'll have to look for my other videos on skillful means. All of my wisdom is in all 6 of my books. And I say read from number 1 all the way to number 6, so that you have a firm foundation of what I'm saying. These are high-level principles that you could practice, that pay out later. They don't necessarily help right in the moment, but this one actually does. So how does non-resistance stop the narcissist? Well, there's no more fuel, and the fire doesn't get bigger, it dies down, and there's no more fight. There's no fight to battle. So if you're in a push-pull or a tug-of-war dynamic with your narcissistic ex over something with your children or custody, and you're getting exhausted and drained, you feel like you can't fight no more, it may be time to deploy or employ these self-protection, peace-promoting strategies to save your sanity. And I say your sanity is key, because if you have that, you can use common sense logic. If you go crazy from all of his crazy making tactics, and you don't have support to vent, to share, someone to strategize with, and you lose your mental health, that can be devastating to your custody case. I've seen moms go into mental hospitals and into therapy that is intense, and not be able to get their kids back after something like that. But if you're willing to change, I believe that can change the whole dynamic. So I was willing to change. I was willing to admit defeat. Um, and I was willing to surrender things. I was willing to accept things that I didn't want to accept. And some of the defeats were just legal. Can't change who our child's father is as much as I want to. Um, I wanted to run away sometimes. So if you're feeling like running away, you're not alone. If you're feeling like you got to fight everything because he's damaging your child, mentally and emotionally and verbally, you're not alone. Just know you're not alone in this battle. This is all typical. That's why I tell moms one of the key principles I teach is don't take it personally. This is what they do if they're in this situation where they can fight somebody or they're backed into a corner. So be aware of where you might be backing a narcissist into a corner that he has to get nastier and dirtier. They're capable of a lot of things that we empaths, loving, caring moms are not. So I'm here to support the loving, caring mom, to safeguard and save their custody case, and to enjoy their child's one and only childhood and let their child enjoy their childhood. So, if there's a way to even get a little piece of energy for you to see your child living their life, enjoying their childhood, that's what we want to focus on. It might be 98% dark, but the 2% light is where we're going to focus on, and that can change everything. So I say you can learn, heal, and outgrow the narcissist. And let's jump into it. So this is a principle and a practice. I'm calling this a workshop because I want you to get a journal. So non-resistance is very powerful, even though it looks passive. I'm going to go over what is non-resistance in my view as a mom survivor, what it is not, some examples to just explain the dynamic so maybe you can see yourself caught in this vicious cycle or in this tug of war. And just doing a quick Google search, you'll see that it's the principle of not resisting authority, or it's a principle of passive submission or refusal to use force against an oppressor or unjust authority, even in self-defense. You'll see all kinds of other things that it's explained, and I'm going to tell you what my explanation of it is. So, my explanation might be a little bit different. So bear with me so that you can understand how this worked in my case. Because at the end of the day, I have peaceful cooperative co parenting with my narcissistic ex. That is unheard of. I get a lot of child support. He pays it. We don't fight over activities. She's got them all back. She's got her therapist back. We're not in a family court war battling it out with lawyers. She can call me whenever she wants. She got her phone back. She got everything back, even her school that when he won, he moved her away. How did she get everything back? Well, I use skillful means, and that takes time and understanding. And I use non resistance, and that takes time and understanding of what I mean by this. So, if you think about martial arts, there's a few forms of martial arts that use non resistance where they redirect the opponent's force rather than meet it with direct force. I think Aikido uses this neutralizing tactic, but mostly jujitsu also does this, but it involves using the attacker's own energy against them. And if you watch my last video, one of my best advisors said, he's not taking you to court. He's taking himself to court. And I was like, you're right. Like, why do we got to keep going? I'm very cooperative. I'm very giving. I'm trying to make him happy so he'll go away, leave us alone most of the time. But he was really taking himself to court, and he was trying to get fuel and energy to restore his, shattered ego, broken ego, bruised ego. So this non-resistance that I'm talking about isn't exactly this definition here, the principle of not resisting authority even when it's unjustly exercised. So the narcissist likes to be in control. He feels better when he's in control, which, because they're very fearful and paranoid, if you are understanding narcissism as a personality disorder. Um, and here's another definition before I get right into how what I'm explaining might be a little different is, this what you resist tends to persist. This actually came from Carl Jung, and it's got a longer explanation to it. What you resist not only persists, but it grows in size. And it's attributed to the Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung. And it's the idea that suggests that focusing intensely on something, even to resist it, gives it power and brings it closer to you. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the energy of how, when you're fighting, you're in an energetic war. So many moms talk about, losing energy, feeling drained. This is like an energetic war. And so when I'm talking about non-resistance, is a way to step out of the insanity of the narcissist and into sanity. And I talk about in another video how one of the key antidotes to all of this is maturity. If you put maturity into this, the drama, trauma, chaos that the narcissist will kick up, that he tends to thrive in, enjoys, kind of just falls flat. And if you've seen my other videos where I talk about gray walling the narcissist or using the castle and curtain, you might imagine the super ball when you throw it, a super bouncy rubber ball. It bounces off hard surfaces. But as I teach moms, if you be the curtain and it hits the curtain and it drops, it loses its energy to keep going wildly. And when you get in an argument with a narcissist, they do all kinds of tactics, word salad, off topic, mother blaming with the blame shifting tactic, name calling, character assassinations, false accusations. All of that can get anyone riled up. But someone who stands there and says, I don't appreciate being falsely accused, or, that's not true, or we don't need to resort to name calling. Let's be adults here. Stuff like that, when you add maturity, it just drops. You're not saying, oh, I'm not what you say I am. I'm not a crazy mom. Don't call me. How could you do that? You step out of that immature teenage battle and into adult maturity, and the narcissist really has to go somewhere else to play his game and get what they call narcissistic supply. So as I teach moms, a narcissist can get narcissistic supply, good or bad. Good energy, bad energy, as long as they're getting some type of attention, good attention, bad attention, idolization, accolades, praise, appreciation, or other types of negative attention, is still attention to them. It's still fuel. So let's jump in. So now you know that non-resistance can be very powerful, and I'm going to explain how, and that it's a principle. It's something you can practice. It's in martial arts. It's explained in psychology. You can look it up, but it doesn't mean that you just let people walk all over you or let the narcissist do whatever he wants. But we're going to go into what non-resistance is not in a situation like this. It's not always passive submission. I like to say that it's wise picking of the battle behind the scenes. So I never teach moms go toe to toe with a narcissist. I always advise getting a lawyer and it go lawyer to lawyer, so that it's not us against the narcissist. So if you're a mom wanting to not only survive a narcissistic ex and co-parenting with a narcissist, if you want to be able to thrive, this is one of the key principles that I used. It may work for you, it may not. And I'm going to explain some of this. First things first, though, what non-resistance is not, and I did not believe it was the way in my case. It was not giving up my rights or all my rights to the child because the narcissist filed for sole custody, which they tend to do. They're overly entitled. It's part of their personality disorder. Again, it's not personal. And one person said, one of my mentors said, you really want to know how to make the narcissist not happy is just give him everything he wants, because these types of people are never happy. They're never full. It's a void. It's like a bucket with a hole. You fill something in and it drains right out. They want more. They need more. So you might think of this like a marathon. If you're in this custody battle, it's not just a sprint. You'll get an order, and I have moms posting, I won everything. And then, like 2 months later, he files a motion to change the order. And so this is why I teach moms to think long term and not short term. And talking about endurance, resilience, adaptability, flexibility. And this is why I teach neutralizing the narcissist or navigating around the narcissist, because this battle can go on forever unless the battle is dropped. So in my case, the narcissist wanted to call a truce. This is a different phase. I mean, my case went in phases, and it may have to go in phases to be effective. I stood up with a lawyer, and I've had 3 lawyers. And I use skillful means and many coaches and support systems. So I believe it's not giving up on all the rights. Some moms think, oh, non-resistant, so he doesn't want to pay child support, so I'll say okay. Not true. If you're practicing non-resistance, if the narcissist hasn't come around, hasn't paid child support, what's that saying? You want to leave lying dogs alone. I don't promote trying to hunt down the narcissist to pay child support he don't want to pay, to be a father to children he doesn't want to be a father to. I don't advise against that. Actually, the only advice is I say is get legal advice. But now I'm realizing that the lawyers that moms are going to are often just looking for the billable hour and not advising them on how to stay out of such a hostile co-parenting situation that will affect the children. So we want to be child focused here. So moms who give up child support or don't ask for it and the narcissist is around tend to regret it later because there's not a lot of leverage. Although you could use my 20 wants list and figure out how to create some leverage, asking for other things besides child support. But child support is a good leverage tool because it's the narcissist's money. And they have to be accountable and watched financially. They don't like that. So I'm not saying give up child support to practice non-resistance. And then I'm also not saying don't speak up for your child when they need something or advocate for them. And non-resistance is also not reporting child abuse and neglect. And be careful with that one. Just making a report to Child Protective Services is not enough. You need a lawyer that backs you up and says, yeah, the judge cares about this. Yeah, there's enough instances of this. Yeah, you've got good enough evidence. It can't be just thrown out. So like this has to be paired with legal power and support. Non-resistance is also not getting a lawyer because the narcissist says, oh, don't get a lawyer. We'll do this ourselves. And you just go along with it. That is not the passive submission that I'm advocating. So non-resistance isn't, you can always get legal consultations without telling the narcissist. And so I just want to say that non-resistance is not practicing self-preservation or self-protection. So that's a double negative. It cancels it out. So I'll make this correct. When practicing non-resistance, you are still practicing self-preservation and self-protection. The way that I'm going to explain how non-resistance is helpful in co-parenting and custody cases involving narcissists. We do want to practice self-preservation and self-protection at all times. We are sometimes our children's only hope. That's why we hold on to our sanity and we tell our children, one of the best things I ever told my daughter is, I'm going through this with you. You're not alone. They don't have to, even when I'm not with her, I'm sending her energy. I'm putting a bubble of protection around her. I'm praying for her. Um, so just know that non-resistance isn't just complete passive submission. That's not what I mean. I always advocate using strategies, thinking long term, holding on to leverage. So just want to clear that up because moms will see non-resistance. Heck no, I can't let him get away with everything. This isn't about letting the narcissist get away with everything. This is about us preserving our energy so that we can be more effective parents and protect our sanity and our children at the same time. So it's a higher level of thinking than down in the mud. So let's go into that whole theory of what we resist tends to persist. So I believe this is a two-part issue. I'm not a psychologist, but I've looked at what the heck is going on in my case. Well, a fight with a narcissist holds energy in place. And if the narcissist has multiple disorders, like if the narcissist has addiction issues, substance use disorders, oppositional defiance disorder, they will want to do the opposite of whatever is placed as like feeling like control over them. So they rebel against that control or anything. So that ODD, the oppositional defiance disorder, tends to permeate narcissists. So just want to go into some of these examples and explain how this dynamic works and just let you know I got a lot of bad advice. I mean, I told you I got a team of 10 and not all of them had gone through a custody battle with a narcissist. So people gave me advice, and I have warnings against advice because unless they know all the details of your case and they're a vetted lawyer who knows your judge, their advice may sound smart, but it's not a straight line to a judge. Evidence gets thrown out. Lawyers turn and twist something you're saying the narcissist did and accuse you of it. Narcissists and lawyers can both twist and turn and blame shift. So one of my advisors said, don't enable the narcissist. Now, how do you know what's helping your child versus what's enabling the narcissist? There was a period of time when it looked like it was both, but it was protecting my child. So I had to get rid of the don't enable the narcissist 100% thing. So I had to have that gift of discernment when to do what, when not to enable. It's very hard. Number two, one advisor said to just give him everything he wants, then he'll just go away. And that I could not do. That would be like capitulating. And I had to turn what you'll learn in my books from being the target of blame or the enemy to destroy in the narcissist's mind. I had to stop all that in my mind first and look at him as, okay, we're in this together. We have to co-parent. And then he could start looking at me that way. But giving my ex everything and expecting him to be a decent human being and let me see our child, that would not have worked. And I see moms do that, and then they have to pay child support to the narcissist who loves getting money from the victim. And it can be so painful to be so unfairly treated and suffer injustice upon injustice. And then the family court becomes like a second abuser. Um, if you don't want to see that, be mindful of this, that watch out for bad advice. That's all I've got to say. If someone's telling you exactly and directly what to do and they're not walking you to your own truth, because only you know everything in this case, in your case. And that's important that you look inside yourself and follow some of those gut instincts to survive. I mean, sometimes people would give me very wise wisdom, but they didn't know that my ex has a gun obsession. Okay. So pushing somebody with a gun obsession and winning and beating against, till he's hopeless and backed into a corner and doesn't feel like he has any power. I didn't want to do that. I mean, he was going to pediatricians' offices and telling the doctors how many guns he has, and we're just there for like a wellness check. It was very scary. I had to survive, use a DV counselor. So your safety comes first. And let's talk about pigs. So there is that joke that when you wrestle with pigs in the mud, you both get dirty and the pig likes it. So just know that it's the same thing when you're fighting with a fighter who enjoys winning in competition, but you want peace and cooperation. So empaths tend to thrive in peace, and narcissists tend to be energized and really look like they're thriving when they're in a fight. And then if you saw the last video, I talk about the fire. Your resistance is like pouring gasoline and, fuel on a fire. It's feeding it. Um, there's that tug of war saying that I talk about, that if you're in a tug of war, what if you drop the rope in a very tug of war? That means they fall backwards. When you drop that rope, they fall backwards and there's no fight to show up. They can pull all that rope they want, but they can't get your energy. They can't get you to use all your max out on your strength. So this is an energetic preservation using non-resistance. And if you think about a dog with a bone, like a narcissist in a fight is like a dog with a bone. They want to fight, beat. They'll buy the most expensive lawyer. They will keep doing things because they've got that. They want to make that win and they don't want to lose. So they're like dogs with bones. Why would you even put your hand near that dog's mouth if you know a dog with a bone is going to hold on to it and bite you if they had the chance or needed to get that bone? And the other example I give is teenagers. When you tell a teenager, don't do this, don't do that, something in their brain says do. They don't hear that don't part. Or they're oppositional and they're just pushing against authority. And, narcissists are immature and they may very well be stuck in that selfish stage of development where they're like stupid children or ignorant teenagers. Narcissists have many blind spots. They often don't see that what they win in family court they can lose, so they'll puff out their chest if they win something and think it's forever, and they don't realize like what the judge gives they can take away. So they're immature, childish, and working from some of the most basic survival programs that lack empathy and a conscience. So often what we resist persists. So we're going to do, I can give you some of my examples, but it's important that you look at examples in your case where you are resisting the narcissist on something. And I say start small because the big stuff is harder. But if you save energy on some of the small battles, that saying, pick your battles, meaning if it's about a toothbrush, let it go. If it's about cavities, how they're going to be filled, and that's going to put you into a family court battle. There's so many bigger issues. You may have to let it go. There might be so much little stuff, like which backpack they're going to take to school, the one you bought or the one he bought them that doesn't work or is last year's, or it looks too kiddish, and the kid doesn't want to go to school, get picked on. Like some of these small battles, you have to maybe navigate around or learn to let go. So this is a self-awareness exercise, and this is the self-work I talk about. Self-work is some of the most important work we'll ever do. Just pause this and write down 3 things you are resisting in your co-parenting battles or your custody battle, that are just small. And then once you've done that, how is the fight that you put up fueling him, draining you? And I would say number 3, making you guys, both of you, including your lawyers and the judge, go off topic from what's most important to the child. So if we're talking about a backpack, which backpack? But your child doesn't have a family therapist that could possibly be on your side if the time comes. who could be a neutral person, like if it's a male therapist, a healthy male mentor that can advocate for the child's needs to the court or call the narcissist out and be an extra set of eyes on the child so the child gets less abuse, and you just level up into maturity. And one of the when I have that legal strategies that I used in family court, one of them is backing up into the microscope of the family court, because we all know narcissists care about image management. They don't want exposure. They'll put on a good A game, and sometimes that A game benefits the child. They get less of the nasty narcissist and more of the fake narcissist. Same thing with narcissists finding new supply victims. They're putting on a great "I'm the perfect daddy, love my kids" show for that new unsuspecting woman, and that can be good for the children. So um, sometimes you don't want to resist that. So then the question is, once you've got those three things that you've been resisting, the small ones, and you know how it's fueling him, and he's got a rise out of you, you're feeding him your pain, your upset, your fear, your angst, and he's just eating it up and spitting right back at you, blaming you and laughing and enjoying watching you unravel. This is where you stop. You actually have to stop yourself and realize that the triggered trauma response in you has to be met with self-compassion. You have to find a safe person to vent to. Don't vent your pain to the narcissist. They tend to use it against you, show you as unstable. That's not the person. You don't want to go to the hardware store for bread. So you don't want to go to the narcissist for empathy and sympathy, because he doesn't have it to give. If you're dealing with someone with NPD, they don't have that. You wish they did. We all wish they did. And we sometimes check in to see if we can get a little bit of consideration that way, but that's not how to get their consideration typically. So then the question I ask you is, what would you do with the energy returned if you weren't fighting these small battles? Like, where could you then go? Could you go to a dance class? Could you take singing lessons? Could you be spending time with your children, going to their games without looking at your phone and figuring out how to respond to his newest accusation? Could you be there for your child? I mean, children see us stressed out dealing with their dad. They do. And it affects our parenting, affects our whole lives when we're trying to battle a narcissist, which is why non-resistance is one of the keys to getting ourselves back, our children getting us back as a mom, the narcissist not winning and beating us with our own traumas, because our traumas can defeat us, our triggers, our emotional reactions. And if you think about what emotions are, it's energy in motion. And when you're in emotion, you're losing energy. That's why staying logical and using common sense and approaching your lawyer with just what you want on your 20 wants list. You can look for my guide. Just staying there, and with your therapist, you can go through the emotions, the grief, the pain, the disgust, the anger at him, at yourself for how could you, been through all that. So this self-awareness can really help you shift. It's like, oh, I am dealing with vaccines. And, not saying that that's a small battle for you, but say it's the flu shot and it's not life-threatening, or that they get this flu shot. Maybe you let that go. Maybe you find another way. I mean, you got to watch out. You can't do medical stuff if the court order says that the other party has to be consulted. You could really jeopardize your custody case doing medical stuff without the other parents. That's how one of the times I've lost all my legal rights. So be careful with that. But if it's using natural dentists over going to their dentist and having cavities filled, um, if it's backpacks, I mean, I've seen all kinds of small battles where a mom could have practiced non-resistance and the narcissist would have lost interest, complete interest, if there's nobody there to get riled up. And it's almost like saying, okay, you knocked on the door and nobody's home. So guess what a narcissist has to do? I mean, they'll knock and they'll always come back. That's why that boomerang, love bombing, breadcrumbing, and what's it called when hoovering. That's why they come back and hoover. They check all previous sources of supply, people who had empathy and compassion for them to see if they can still get some. That's why you break up with a narcissist and hear for them 5 years later when the new girl didn't work out, 3 years later, 2 years later. They always are checking former sources of supply to see if they're vulnerable. And that's why I teach moms to stay strong. So if you know the dynamics between the narcissist and the empath, the codependent and the vampire, uh, if you know these dynamics, you don't have to get caught up in them. You can see yourself and say, "Oh, I'm putting up a resistance to what bus stop?" Or "I'm putting up a resistance to buying school clothes." And if the narcissist says, "I want you to buy the kids all school clothes because I'm paying you child support," uh, and then you put up a big fight over buying school clothes, that can just keep a battle going instead of saying, "Okay, I'll get the school clothes. Is there any way for you to get the sports fees in September?" Throwing the ball back in the narcissist court is one of those skillful means that I teach. But that would be a non-resistant approach. And if he says, "No, I'm paying child support," just say, "Okay, well, let me know if there's anything you can do. It'll be about $150. Now, let me tell you, the narcissist now, if I tell him how much something is, sends me half without me asking. How did I get there? From not reimbursing me on the Our Family Wizard for anything except right before the court trial, he would pay half of dance costumes, but the 3,000 other dollars for all those years he just ignored. Um, I got there using skillful means, non-resistance, and all of these wisdom tradition teachings. So if you don't want to have to battle for things, maybe non-resistance, the idea can help you see. It doesn't always work right away. This one tends to, because if you drop the rope, uh, the fight isn't going on. There's no more tug of war. So think about this in your case. I invite you to really spend time thinking about, are you wrestling with a pig in the mud? Are you in a tug of war? Are you trying to get a bone from a dog? Are you in a fight with a fighter? And if you want to change your co-parenting struggles and stop custody battles, non-resistance really does come into this with skillful means and learning about how to turn the target of blame and step into your power and rights. Using non-resistance really can have the narcissist using his own energy against himself. It's sort of like, now you're out of the way and he's still personality disordered fighting. But who's he going to fight if he's not fighting you? So the fight then starts to cost him. His behavior starts to cost himself. And those three things that I teach in my Navigate Around the Narcissist is the three things these guys need is accountability, monitoring, and consequences on repeat. He can't just be always accountable once, always monitored once, sometimes they have to be consequenced and consequenced and consequenced in court to not want to use court. In my case, he just had to pay my legal fees once, and that he did not like. So it all depends. If you are ready and willing to learn and do this work, I am here to teach, coach, and mentor. I say learn all you can because knowledge is power. My background is loving and leaving an alcoholic. I broke up with that toxic trio, codependency, love addiction, and trauma bonds, to a narcissist. Went on to fight in family court for 12 years, try to co-parent with a narcissist, parallel parented for years until I got peace and cooperation and what he calls a miracle. But if you know anything about miracles, like the Course in Miracles teaches, it's just a shift in perception. I stopped being his enemy to destroy a target of blame, and I started this shift all inside of me. So My first book is Co-Parenting with a Narcissist, 7 Self-Rules to Stay Sane. My second is How to Fight a Narcissist in Family Court and Win. You'll watch out for that word, win. We redefine that. This is my newest book, Wisdom for Ending the Co-Parenting War and Custody Battle with a Narcissist. This has tips and tools. There's a Tame the Narcissist before this book. I say read them in order because then you can really grab on to how to stop feeling narcissistically abused, how to stop co-parenting abuse. I talk about the 5 things I did to stop the post-separation abuse in my case. So if you're trying to co-parent with a narcissistic ex, I have these books here. This is my shared survivor wisdom. You can come to my website, www.graceroldson.com, GRACEWROLDSON.com. If you're listening to my Spotify, you can sign up. I give free videos, webinars, and if you're on YouTube, you can like and subscribe to this channel for more free videos and understandings. But I do believe you can break free of codependency forever. That's in my new book, So You Love a Narcissist. And I am co-parenting with a narcissist and have peace and cooperation, child support, my rights back. My daughter has a therapist. I used a blend of court and skillful means, non-resistance, and other teachings. So I do believe moms have to find what works for them in their current phase and their situation. But I'm happy to share all of what I learned with you. If you want that 20 wants list power tool, you can find that on my blog under Co-Parenting with a Narcissist. It's in my books, one of the 6 books. I can't remember which one. But I do believe that, knowing that someone's gone before you and carved a path for peace can help you believe that peace is possible. And on the other side of my defeat, there was a surrender, and I did stage a comeback. I believed I had that. My love for my child was bigger than the narcissist, and I did study every healing modality there was to be able to overcome the challenges and the loss. I did have to still grieve and face my feelings. So thank you for listening and watching. I hope this was helpful. If you found something helpful in this video, I'd love for you to send me a private message on Facebook and just say what was most helpful that you heard in this short self-help workshop webinar, because I like to hear what is landing with the moms. It's hard to talk about not taking the narcissist's legal abuse and post-separation abuse personally. Just abusers abuse, and sometimes it's like, oh, this isn't because I'm not worthy or I'm a bad person. It's just because this is what he would do to anyone if he was put in this situation. He's the problem. And that's important because narcissists tend to call their victims crazy and tell the victim they're the problem, which just more emotionally destabilizes them. So learn, heal, and outgrow that narcissist. I'm here to help. I do very few one-to-one sessions, but you can find those on my coaching tab on my website, and look for my new program coming out besides the Navigate Around the Narcissist video course. I'll have a new video course that can hopefully help you lead yourself to peace and protection for your children. I believe if you're a motivated mother, you can carve that path for peace and protection for you and your child if you're required to co-parent with a narcissist in family court. And thank you so much for watching. Have hope.